Nice to meet you.
Scott and I and about like 17 other photojournalists. In 2007, we went on a trip around the world, and we were studying social injustice and how to raise awareness using media. The book was kind of a reflection of everything that we saw, but human trafficking was one of the main things that we saw internationally. So when we were writing the book, we realized that there was trafficking in America. So we would like to know, what does trafficking look like in America?
It's everywhere. Experts estimate that as many as 17,000 to 18,000 people are trafficked across international borders in the United States. But that is the minority of the trafficking that takes place here. The vast majority of trafficking is domestic trafficking. It's trafficking of people who were born in the United States, who grew up in the United States. Most trafficking, human trafficking, is for the purposes of prostitution. The average age of entry into prostitution in the United States is 13 to 14. That means most people who end up in prostitution start out as children, actually start out as trafficked children.
It's now rated the third largest form of organized crime. They think it's a $10 billion business. It's preceded only by the sale of drugs and the sale of weapons. But unlike drugs and weapons and guns that can be sold once, a human body can be sold over and over and over again. It's a terrible, terrible crime.
Sex trafficking functions like a very sophisticated business. It has consumers, distributors, wholesalers, and retailers, like any business. And it's governed by the forces of supply and demand, like any other business.
We've learned that these kids really are slaves, that they can't walk away, that they're being used as commodities for sale or trade.
Have you seen that the problem is getting worse, or is it just more understanding of it coming out now, or what are your findings?
We try to be very conservative. We try to only use numbers that we can defend and for which there's actual proof. We believe we can prove with a high degree of confidence that there are at least 100,000 American kids a year who are the victims of child prostitution and child trafficking. These are runaways. These are kids who are preyed upon on the streets by people offering them shelter or comfort or love, who then find themselves trapped in a situation from which they can't escape. They become literally 21st century slaves.
So Ben, you've traveled all over the world documenting slavery. How would you say the situation compares in America to what you've seen around the world?
America, in a sense, is a microcosm of all the different forms of slavery that you see around the world. If you take a look at the world picture, the vast majority of slaves are in some form of debt bondage. They're in carpet looms, they're in brick kilns, they're in quarries. That's not the case in the United States. In the United States, the plurality of people who are trapped in some form of slavery are trapped in forced commercial sex.
June of 2007, I was in a meeting, and the former vice mayor of Phoenix came in late, and she had tears in her eyes, and she started to tell us about this issue of child sex slavery. And I, like many people in the U.S., was shocked. I knew this happened in Cambodia and India, but I had no idea it was happening in our own city. And so I remember sitting in that meeting thinking, we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls being raped for profit that night in our city.
Atlanta's finding around 300 kids a month. Dallas is finding around 200 or 300 kids a month who are in the sex trade. So if you look at major cities and you're seeing that volume and you begin to spread that across the country, you begin to see higher and higher and higher numbers.
And in the United States, it doesn't just happen in New York and Los Angeles and Las Vegas. It's happening in small towns. It's happening in middle America. The only way not to find this problem in any city is simply not to look for it.